Alrighty, in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to another edition of Palmer Bets. I can start again. I was going to say the Don't Argue, mate. That's the NRL version. All right, mate. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to another edition. We've only got 2 weeks to go, and it is in the pocket, all thanks to Palmer Bet, of course, and the great man, Peter Spider Everett. And of course, former Hawk, former Sydney Swan, former St Kilda superstar. And there's no bigger name in the sport than the big Spider Everett. Spide, honestly, mate, how exciting. We're down to the pointy end, big fella. And what a couple of cracking games we had on the weekend.
I'll tell you what, if you don't get excited over the footy over the weekend, there's nothing to get excited about. It was unbelievable. When you watch both of those games and it's coming towards the pointy end and they never said a team outside of the top 4 will win it, well, can it be proven wrong this year? There's just so many stories to unfold over the next next week and a bit. It's just massive. We've got the Brownlow, we've got everything that counts on it. But when you look at footy, the AFL will be absolutely stoked. They're nervous as well as they're stoked. You could have the biggest grand final in modern day history of Collingwood and Carlton, or you could have the one that could shut the gate on Victoria and have GWS and Brisbane. So I think the AFL at the moment are sitting on their edge of their seat like the millions and millions of fans around the country. We can't wait for it.
No, absolutely, mate. Let's go back to Friday night. And we've been banging on about it for a time, or a long period now, Spide. And the Blue Baggers, mate, they're up and about. You were all over this last week too, mate, might I add. You were keen on the Blue Baggers, mate. But 2-point victory. It was an absolute thriller. 96,000 people at the MCG, Spide. They tell me the roar was unbelievable. I was talking to Sammy Walsh's uncle during the week, and he just said, mate, I've never, ever felt the stands shake like it did in that last couple of minutes.
It's been remarkable, this final series. When you look at that, you go back and you thought Patrick Cripps' goal a couple of weeks ago lifted the MCG, and then it just went to new levels. But that amazing bit of footage, that last minute that they ran, they switched the ball inbound right into the middle of the ground, took the risk, went out to the outer wing, brought it back deep into the full line. Like, the crowd was just, and I watched, you go through your social media, you could sit there and watch it for hours, and then Robbie Williams starts singing a song to DeConey. Like, this stuff just doesn't happen every year. Like, it's just, the Carlton Football Club has brought alive the AFL season, there's no doubt. 10 weeks ago, it was Collingwood how far, and then suddenly Carlton get over the top of them, and then they continue this snowball run. And people, as much as you don't like Carlton, a lot of players, people, I hate Carlton. You've got to fall in love with what they've been able to do. And it's on the back of players that, have come to the football club and not been like, Walsh has just been an unbelievable final series player. Akers out on the wing. And then Curnow, we know what he's been able to do, but, he wasn't the main man on the weekend. So, look, it's just been a remarkable story. And on the other side, you're just devastated for Melbourne fans. But Melbourne have been the same old. They deserved, unfortunately, they deserved their right whack. They're indisciplined. Cosy Pickett giving away a couple of 50s, not making Shacky in. So there's plenty of upside to Melbourne still, but they really never set the season on fire.
Let's focus on the Blues first. You just mentioned Sammy Walsh, a breakout game, 34 possessions, couple of goals at crucial times too. He was absolutely magnificent. Doherty, I thought, was fantastic. Yep. He pops a shoulder out there just on the cusp of half time. He gets back out there. Akers carrying a shoulder as well. There's so many stories. Wiedering copped that heavy hit.
Unbelievable.
There's just so many wonderful stories. And I reckon they're doing it on the back of, to be honest, Curnow hasn't had his best final series. His last couple of weeks haven't been enormous, Spide. So there's a bit of upside for the Blue Baggers as well.
Well, you think of it, some of their small forwards, you did have Jackie Martin, he went out, you had Motlop. So, kind of they've got the pressure around the footy. They've got a game that, and this just goes to show what belief can give you in a football club. The coach is pumped. They're coming off, they're getting supported. And when there's a minute to go and you still believe you can win, that is unbelievable. And Jack Viney miskicked it, but, there's just...
That's pressure.
Absolutely. That's that perceived pressure that, Gawn punches the ball where it should have gone through for a goal. So there's...
Yeah, what's your take on that, Spide? Look, it's always a hard one in there.
I remember playing at the SCG one day against the Bombers, and the siren had gone, a kick come in, I punched the ball and it went through for a point. Sheedy walked down, he walked past Roosie and he said, we'll win by that point. What they win by?
Oh, you're joking.
A point.
You're joking.
No joke.
That is unbelievable.
So, as a ruckman, you either let that go or, of course, especially if it's going through, you don't want to overcomplicate things of a ruckman. We know we're important to the game, but keep it simple.
Hey, just on that, and you kind of touched on it before, but they took Shaki in as the sub, not used the whole night. There was obviously a little bit of a question mark on Max getting through a full game with that broken toe. Did they pull the wrong rein, Spy? Like, I must admit, I reckon they did. Because we saw Hollands for Carlton on the flip side. He was the sub, come on and played the last quarter and was really crucial, wasn't he, at important times?
And it's hard to say, we're not the coaching staff. You look at it and, you go back to 97 when Stan Ells left Jamie Shanahan on Jarman too long. It was at the end of the game. So you kind of, look, I think if you're using a sub, you're in a tight pressure situation like that, fresh legs are worth their weight in gold. We've seen the sub being used so many times throughout the year. And just that fresh set of legs, you see it in the supercars. You see it in the supercars when they've got a better set of tyres. They just absolutely smoke the opposition. So I think, you've got a sub there, utilise him. Shaki wouldn't have been the worst 21, at number 20 on the list of the players in the state that game was in. So I say sub someone out 3/4 time and absolutely give him a run.
Fresh legs. Yeah, absolutely, mate.
Yep.
Hey, how do we rate the D season, big fella? They've lost their last 4 finals at the MCG. Straight sets, bang, bang. What are you thinking, Spide?
It's a hard one. Kind of, they still made the top 4, so they've still got to be a B. Yep. I don't think they're an A. I thought they were a bit disappointing throughout the year. You can never. Melbourne was a game. It would have been frustrating to be a Melbourne fan this year.
Oh,
you could never rely on them. They missed Oliver for a long period of time, but at the same time, there's so much, Grundy, and every week Grundy and Gorn, and he's Grundy going and what's happening here, and then Oliver out and blowing up at his fitness staff, and you just sit there and go, okay, well, I say a B. They just, you could never go into a game confident saying, you know what, they're going to win this.
I think they'd be disappointed losing 2 close games, like less than a kick in them. Like this, they'd be absolutely shattered. This will be a season I think they'll always look back on and go, hang on. And they got to rebound next year, and it's going to be a tough pre-season. I reckon they're going to have some truce.
But don't forget, they're all a year older too.
Yeah.
So you Steve Mays, these guys, they're not getting any younger. So you got to kind of look at that and go, you know what, we aren't getting any younger. What do we need to prove? I reckon they need to change a little bit. I just didn't see him entertaining at all this year.
Yeah, their forward line, I reckon the functionality up forward needs to look at. Hey, listen, Spy, what about Saturday night? The Orange Tsunami, big fella, it is building in a big way, and they are absolutely flying. 23-point winners over the Power. They just controlled the game, to be honest, for the whole of the night. Like the Power looked like they were going to get back into it at stages, but they were just too good. And the big guns shine. Jesse Hogan, 4 goals. Toby Green, 3 goals. Caniglio kicked a couple. They're just really solid right across the board. Their back 6 is brilliant. Their midfield's great. Their forward line functions. I'll tell you what, mate, I would not want to be playing them this weekend in a prelim final.
Coaching staff got it right. Their coaching staff are on song. And what I've really loved about GWS, they've just embraced the finals. See Toby Green still doing all his media, one of the greats. And, 12 months ago, 24 months ago, Toby Green, a bit of a pest, but now he's a true leader. Like, for him to kick the first goal, the way they ran, they worked up the ground, they worked back. You mentioned Jesse Hogan. I reckon he's been the best forward in probably the last 8 weeks of footy. The way he's really structured them up, his second efforts, his presence around the footy, and then they've got a gun midfield. Their midfield kicking goals. Like, their midfield will match it with Collingwood, and that's where Port Adelaide really let themselves down. Like, they got smoked, and they got 2 Brownlow, what I see, top 5 chances in Butters and Rosé. They can't do it in their own. Ollie Wines a little bit, but GWS just everywhere over the park. Port Adelaide had no answers, and all you have to do is get on top early and the crowd really struggle to get into it. That's what they'll need this weekend.
And Spy, let's be honest, the form of the Giants has been huge. Last round, they beat Carlton down here in Melbourne, and then they've won the last couple of weeks. So the form lines are stacking up, to be honest.
Winning formula is a good formula, so they are. And it doesn't matter where they play. That's what I love about it.
Yeah.
It's like you put us on any deck. We don't care. We're not going to whinge if we're going to Brisbane. We're not whinging if we're going to Port Adelaide. We don't care. We're happy. You just put us there. We're wearing a colour that everybody hates. Like we're looking like this orange dim sim in the middle of the ground. Like it's just this orange tsunami that's just so good. But they've just got, as you mentioned, the forward backs and midfields. They've just got quality everywhere, and they are genuine A-grade superstars. But also they've got a lot of guys that have really stepped up this year and just playing their role. And that's the main aim. And you look at the way they play, everybody just does their job. You do your job, very similar to a Sydney, but they're playing with a Collingwood formula of just moving the ball forward, getting it on, running at all costs, and moving it forward.
It sets up a tantalising prelim final because, as you just said, mate, a couple of similar teams, the way they play.
Oh, yes.
Tell me, rate Port Adelaide's season, big fella, midway through the year, even 3/4 of the way through. I'm tipping it would have been in the A's, possibly an A+, mate, but they've slipped lately, haven't they?
Yeah, again, you'd probably go a B. I think they probably played out of their skins the first half of the year, and that's when everyone thought, gee, they're on 14 games or something straight.
They do it all the time, though, Spy. They do this same kind of years.
And you don't blame the coach. You don't want to blame the coach. But at some stage, when you're not getting wins during final series, the coach has to take some responsibility.
Yep.
Your job is to get your players up, get them firing at that 7:00 start on a Saturday night in Brisbane when they were terrible. And then they come to Port Adelaide and they dish up very much the same. They look slow. They look like they weren't in it. The clearances in the middle are absolutely slaughtered through there. So a coach's job is to have your players ready. And over a period of how many final series now, Ken Hinkley unfortunately hasn't had his players up to scratch. I think they'll be disappointed that they actually signed Hinkley. I think now going out in straight sets, I reckon they would have gone to Josh Carr. Said, you know what? You take the reins. Because they can't afford to have another one of these seasons.
Mate, Kenny possibly could have been on a 5-year tenure up at the Gold Coast as well. Who knows? So, really interesting times. Hey, let's have a look, all thanks to Palmerbet, mate, premiership odds and how this has changed. So, Collingwood Football Club, they're firm from 250 to 245. Brisbane are firm from 325 into 275. So, that's a big tighten up. Carlton have gone from $12 to $7.50.
Wow.
The Giants have gone from $13 to $5. I reckon 2 weeks ago, Spy, they were $21. The Giants, the Orange Tsunami.
Absolutely. Well, the start of the final series, I think we even mentioned that. Said, put a couple of bucks because they were $3 or $4 even just to make the grand final.
Yes.
Yeah, they've got to get it still over Collingwood, but that's still a pretty good bet. And I think. To me, I'd probably have it that way as well. I reckon Carlton's probably the underdog to win the premiership at this stage.
Yep.
And then I'd have GWS. I think Brisbane are finding themselves in really good form. And, I think Collingwood still deserve to be favourite with Dacos coming back into the side.
Beautiful, mate. Hey, listen, and Dacos is going to be a massive inclusion, I reckon. And
don't forget, Taylor Adams out is just as big.
Yeah, but I reckon Jackie Ginnivan will probably get a bit more game time, Spy. Look, he hasn't had a lot of game time, and I reckon he's ready to kind of bust out too, if you know what I mean. So, they've got replacements, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely. They've got depth, and he's a big stage player, Jackie.
I reckon he
loves it. But Taylor Adams does all the little things as well.
Yeah,
he's the one in and under. He doesn't have to worry about any of the outside ball. His job, and he's said it plenty of times, my job is I get in and under. I just give it out to the blokes who can use it.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Hey, listen, let's have a look at the markets. Let's have a look at the matches, prelim finals.
Here we go.
Winner straight through to a grand final. Loser, that is season 2023 over Friday night MCG. It is going to be chock-a-block. It's the Collingwood Football Club taking on the Giants, $7.50 head-to-head, all thanks to Palmerbet. The Pies $1.57. Giants at $2.41. At the line, Collingwood minus 10.5 $1.90, GWS plus 10.5 $1.90. Now, the key stats, all thanks to Palmerbet. The Pies beat GWS in round 9, 120-55. That was a shellacking, 65 points at the MCG, so same ground. Last time they played, the Pies had 7 multiple goal scorers. The star is back in Nick Dacos for his first game since round 21. Last time he played the Giants, he had 41 disposals, Spider.
Jesus, yeah.
And since round 13, GWS have conceded over 80 points just twice, and they were both losses. They won every other match in which they conceded less than 8 points. So that is unbelievable. So some amazing stats there, all thanks to Palmerbet, big fella. I must admit, I thought this market would be a little bit tighter. 241 head-to-head for the Giants. Even if you're a Collingwood supporter, you nearly have something on that, just because then if you go and the Pies have to lose, you still win, big fella.
Well, you're pretty nervous, aren't you? Still, like and a lot of teams hate going in as short price favourites. And, as you say, GWS are coming off a massive month of footy and beating solid teams and beating them convincingly. But at the same time, you look at Collingwood, it will send you back to the cauldron of 2015 when they played Richmond, and the yellow and black was just ridiculous. So
90,000 Richmond supporters that day spied, and I reckon about 5,000 orange tsunami.
But they've got some boys, the Orange Tsunami. They're starting to get a lot of following.
Yeah,
they've played a lot of finals. This is what gets me, and this is how important it is to set up a footy club. And Tasmania has to take note. You look at the difference between GWS and the Gold Coast Suns. The Gold Coast Suns haven't even been near anything like this. Yet GWS been, amongst played in the grand final, a couple of prelims, how good, and their opportunities. So they are getting a little bit of support. There's a couple of, big, like DeGoey, big time player against Gleniglio will be a cracking one. You think about, of course, Darcy Moore and Jesse Hogan, which is Darcy Moore, all Australian fullback or centre half back. It's going to be a cracker. You got Dacos, who's coming back. In what form is he going to kind of come back in? You got the two big men, Mason Cox against Briggs, which is going to be awesome. So it's really setting up into a cracking game. And look, it's hard to go past the Pies for me. And as much as GWS, and I do like the $2.41, but you only like the $2.41 if they're winning, because if Collingwood kicks the first few, and they just controlled the contest the other day, GWS, Collingwood won't allow that. So I reckon Collingwood, and I reckon them by I reckon Collingwood by 25 plus.
Oh, wow. You're going for a big win for the Pies.
Yeah, I honestly think this is Collingwood's year to lose. I believe now, at the moment, the way they're set up, we really underestimate them because we haven't seen them over the last couple of weeks, but they've been the best team in the competition for a long period of time.
Yep, absolutely. Weather conditions look good too, Spide. So there's going to be no concerns there. It'll be a good deck, mate, as we know. So you're thinking 25 plus for the Pies. The boys at Palmerbet, these are some of the bets that they like. So Jesse Hogan to kick 2+ goals. He's at $1.62. Stephen Caniglio, 25 plus disposals. He's $1.42. Jamie Elliott to kick 2+ goals for the Pies, $1.56. And Steele Sidebottom to get 20 plus disposals as well. He's at $1.50. So that 4-leg multi, all thanks to Palmerbet, gets you about $4.28, big fella. So a nice little bit for you to sit back and watch.
Absolutely. And that's what we love about these games, is you just put on those little multis to see how they pan out over the day. I love multis. I think 90% of us do, and you ever get a little bit of value for money. Try and pick who's going to have a cracking game, who's not going to really go that well. But yeah, Jesse Hogan, I think he's the best forward over the last 12 weeks, so he'll be amongst the money.
Righto, mate. Let's move along. Brisbane Carlton, Saturday, 5:15. Now, this is an interesting time slot. Won't be as dewy, Spied, at the Gabba around about that time. So head-to-head, Brisbane $1.38, Carlton at $3.08. The Blue Baggers at the line, Brisbane minus 19.5 $1.90, Carlton plus 19.5 $1.90. Key stats, all thanks to Palmerbet. Brisbane won their round 8 clash comfortably by 26 points. Brisbane have won their last 4 games against the Blues, so that's interesting. Home is where the heart is. The Lions are unbeaten in all 13 games at home this season, which is an amazing stat.
Unbelievable.
And winning them by not much. Carlton have won their last 4 games by margins of 2 points against Melbourne, 6 points Sydney, 4 points Gold Coast, 4 points Melbourne when they played during the season. So interesting little contest this. If you're a Carlton supporter, 306, that is a luxury.
Yeah, well, exactly the same as, for me, Brisbane, they haven't lost at home.
Yeah.
They are in good nick. They are sitting there. You watch their team at the moment, and with their 4-line structure perfectly set up, they're all running. They're all up and about. Midfield, McCluggage, I think, is one of the most important players for Brisbane, and he can kick goals from the midfield. So you kind of have, when you look at the setup, you've probably got probably Payne on Charlie Curnow. Charlie Curnow needs to really have a game out. He's been quiet in the way of finals, and he needs to step up. But then you've got Sam Welsh on McCluggage, which will be massive. Danaher, Wiedering. I just think the midfield of Brisbane, Carlton's midfield's really stood up, but when you got Lockie Neal and these blokes and, Big Oscar, Harris Andrews down back as well, Brisbane haven't done a thing wrong. Their biggest question is going to be on the Monday. How do they face the MCG? But they'll love the Gabba. The Gabba's been packed for the last. You can't get a ticket. You haven't got a ticket all year, let alone trying to get one now.
I reckon for Carlton, like Curnow is going to, or Harry, Big Harry McKay, one of them is going to have to kick a bag. And when I'm saying a bag, I think 5+, aren't they, for them to win? They need to. One of those key forwards needs to get hold of one of the good backmen of Brisbane Lions. I reckon, Spot, if they're any chance, they just need to have a bit of a night out, don't
they? That's it. But Brisbane just don't allow it. Yeah. Brisbane. When was the last time someone's kicked 8, 9, 10 goals, 6 goals? And I just think Brisbane have got, they've just got the star power as well. As good as Cripps and Walsh and all these guys have been, $3, absolutely juicy. And do we want to see Carlton through to a grand final? Absolutely. For the sake of Melbourne and the hype that's been around it, I'd absolutely love to see it. But when you're really sitting there going the hard facts, Brisbane are absolutely primed for this. Collingwood are primed, Brisbane are primed. You just hope they bring it into the grand final, both primed.
Righto, mate. The bets the Palmer Bet crew they've gone Charlie Cameron 2+ goals, $1.44. Josh Dunkley 25+ disposals, $1.72. Matty Owies 2+ goals at $3.15. Sam Doherty 20+ disposals at $1.27. That 4-leg multi gets you $7.87 on the Palmer app, Spide.
Absolutely, and check them out because and you can pick and choose. For me, I reckon McCluggage 25+, easy. It's his day. Charlie Curnow, I reckon Danaher's still going to be amongst the money. Perfect conditions again. It's going to be a little bit overcast, but there's no rain around. So, exactly as you said, no dew on the ground. It's going to be a fast track, and it's going to be a good track for footy. It's going to be a great track for footy.
Oh, mate, it's getting exciting, that is for sure. And wouldn't the AFL be sitting back? Imagine a Carlton Collingwood grand final, Spide. It would be enormous, big fella.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to be in Lygon Street that day. You'd go straight there. If they got up, it would be absolutely bunted. We only saw the socials over the weekend. That's just crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if you get down Lygon Street if Carlton won and you're there at the bar and you're just about to jump up and sing the theme song, that Robbie Williams will be next to you singing it too. He's loving it.
Wouldn't that
He's up and about.
He's loving Tottenham Hotspur too. Don't worry, Big Ange Postecoglou as well. Hey, last week, Spide, you were 1 out of 2, mate. Carlton, you're all over. You went to Power 25+. They let you down, mate, but they let everyone down last week, even their own supporters. And sticking with the goals, Matty Owies 3+ and Todd Marshall 3+. They both let you down last week. So what do you got for us this week, big fella?
Yeah, rightio. Well, I'm having a look this week, and look, I reckon you talk about some big moments in big games for some goal scorers, and you're at the other end saying Charlie Curnow needs to kick big goals. For me, I'm going a little bit differently. And I reckon Danaher, I've backed him for the most goals. You could have got him for the most goals in the final series at $12 at the start of the final series. For me, I reckon he's going to kick 4+. So Danaher will kick another 4. Perfect conditions.
Yep.
Mate, big Joey is going to deliver. And the other one I'm going to have, and he's a big game player. He will be loving it, and he can kick him from anywhere. He's a freak. I'm going Jamie Elliott. I reckon Jamie Elliott, 4 goals. Yeah.
How's this?
4+. I'll have those 2 at 4+. And if you want it, depending on what you're going to give me, I'd maybe take Elliott at 3+, but I'd stick with Danaher at 4+ every day.
I'm going to give you 25.37 for that, big man. That is
4 each.
Juicy odds. Yep, that's 4 each, $25.37. That is massive. That is the big man's get on this week.
Well, he'll light it up. There's no doubt. Jamie Elliott, he'll be up and about. You spoke about Ginnivan, depending how much game time he gets. But Jamie Elliott's going to spend all game down there. He'll light that up. And I reckon Danaher, he'll follow up his big 5 on his first final. And the other one.
Yeah, what else, mate?
Well, I'm going to take head-to-head.
Yep.
You know, I totally, fully believe, and you could go, I'll probably push it out a little bit, but for the conservative punter, I'd still sit with Collingwood 25+.
Yep.
Against GWS, and I'm going to take Brisbane 25+.
So both to win by 4 goals effectively. That's going to get you 540 on the Palmer Bet app, Spide.
Yeah, that's a bit of me. I'm going to probably push him out to 39+. I reckon there's going to be a boil over out of one of these games.
Right.
Don't know which one. I'd probably lean more towards Brisbane over Carlton, but I just think next weekend we're going to see 2 Collingwood and Brisbane, 2 massive teams playing off, and probably the 2 best teams for the year.
Love it, big fella, mate. It is all coming to a head, and looking forward to this week. Looking forward to the following week too. It is going to be absolutely magnificent. Been such a sensational season so far. Seriously, Spide, and you've been on the money, mate. Don't worry about that. You have been very, very good. Download that Palmer Bet app. Get involved. It's really easy to navigate, but as we always say, gamble in a responsible manner and always think about what you're really gambling with. Spide, we are hooking up grand final day too, mate. We are going to catch up, which I'm looking forward to, mate. Rain, hail or shine, doesn't matter who's in it. We're going to be there, and really looking forward to catching up with you, mate, and looking forward to this weekend's footy.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to catch up. But the other thing is too, just a reminder, and if things don't go the way that I've predicted today, like if the Blues do get up, turn your phone off, because you're going to have to listen to your Carlton fans.
I love it, mate.
And everybody's going to want tickets. Everyone's going to want everything. Turn your phones off. You will not get tickets. That is a guarantee.
We won't be selling ours anyway, big fella. We're going to go and enjoy it. Hey, Spy, good on you, mate. Have a great week, and we'll talk next week, buddy.
Absolutely. Enjoy the second last week of footy.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.